NFL Week 12 is here, and I'm about to break down all of the top lineups and best plays to look at from a DraftKings perspective. If you're looking for a FanDuel video, I've also got that up on the YouTube channel. All I'm going to ask for you guys is to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do have a Black Friday deal going on. If you guys want to sign up for the NFL package that we have at Stokastic.com, which includes the Sims tool, so you can simulate all your lineups, which is what I'm going to be doing here on screen, as well as the contest generator, where you could build all your lineups, and then everything else like player projections, ownership. That's also all included in our NFL package. It is now 50% off when you sign up using that link below in the promo code SIMS, SIMS, all capital letters. And let's look at some of the results of the Sims that I've run in my first run here for week 12 and favoriting the top 150 lineups. And if you look here at my number one overall best projected lineup, I've got a Rams double stack. It is Matthew Stafford, Bijan Robinson, James Conner, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Juju Smith-Schuster, Evan Ingram, Dalton Kincaid. So a double tight end lineup with the Chiefs defense here. And Cooper Kupp was listed as questionable to play earlier in the week. I actually didn't think he was going to play. And then we ended up finding out that he's ruled active. He's not expected to be crazy popular or anything like that. And I do think he can end up coming in even lower on than what his ownership projection is because he was on the injury report, because he left last week's game early. We know the kind of upside Cooper Kupp has, and he's reasonably priced in both DraftKings and FanDuel. So Cooper Kupp is a wide receiver that I do like quite a bit for this slate. So it makes sense to pair him with Matthew Stafford as well. Now let's go position by position here and see what stands out the most. You already see there's a couple guys on screen here that I'm getting a massive amount of exposure to. But starting at QB, I've got a core group of guys here that I'm getting to in Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts at the high end. So if you're looking for like a cheapish to mid-range quarterback, Stafford stands out the most. If you want to pay up for a quarterback, I'm getting to Jalen Hurts the most. And then also have exposure to Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, and Gardner Minshew, and then hardly any other quarterback showing up in my lineups. My next most roster is Kyler Murray, 1.3%. So a really core condensed group of QBs that I'm getting to in my first run this week. Running backs, where we have an uber chalky Jonathan Taylor. So Jonathan Taylor, see here, project for 43.3% ownership, and I'm still getting him in almost all my lineups. 90% of my top 150 lineups contain Jonathan Taylor. In lineups that don't have Jonathan Taylor, I was getting to Gardner Minshew in a bunch of them. So if you don't want to play Jonathan Taylor, I think one of the more reasonable ways to get off the chalk would be to pair Gardner Minshew with, say, like a Michael Pittman or something like that at wide receiver. And then maybe it's the passing games for the Colts that end up scoring the touchdowns as opposed to the running game. I do think it's pretty hard to get away from Jonathan Taylor this week, though. If you go ahead and look at our projections here, we've got Taylor project for 21 fantasy points. Barkley, the next closest at 17, Kamara at 17, then ETN at 15. And Barkley and Kamara are both more expensive than Jonathan Taylor, and Kamara significantly so. So from a projection standpoint, it really does rate out a lot better than any of the other running backs for us. And I mean, we're still taking ownership into account here. We're running lineups through the Sims. We're assuming he's going to be 43% owned. All the lineups I built, they're playing against each other 40,000 times. And it is still saying that 43% projected ownership for Jonathan Taylor makes him lower owned than what he should be. So I'm getting to a ton of Taylor here, 90%. If you are going to be playing Taylor, you do want to make sure you're playing some other contrarian players in the lineup, because it's not just one guy that makes a lineup chalky. You could play Jonathan Taylor and still have a very contrarian lineup if there are one or two other low-owned pieces in the lineup. So Jonathan Taylor, according to our data, is a good piece of chalk for this week. Other running backs that I've got double-digit exposure to, Javonte Williams, James Conner, Derrick Henry, who I also like in this price range. We've seen Derrick Henry look like he's phased out of the game plan a little bit the last couple of weeks, but you have to take the game flow into consideration. The last 2 weeks, the Titans got blown out, and Derrick Henry is not somebody who's on the field very much in passing situations, and when the game is one-sided, he's not playing in the fourth quarter either. But if you look at some of the more competitive games the Titans have played in the weeks before that, you're getting around 20-plus touches from Derrick Henry. So I like him to bounce back in a much more winnable matchup this week against the Panthers. And I mean, it's not to say that they had unwinnable matchups like against the Jaguars in previous weeks, but it's a game where the Titans are actually favored. It sets up much better for Derrick Henry. And then Saquon Barkley as well. And then if you're looking down here, Ramondre Stevenson also popping up in some lineups. Let's go ahead and look at the wide receivers, and wide receiver that I'm getting to a ton of here, Juju Smith-Schuster. Flatman price on DraftKings, only $3K. Yeah, this is a lot of Juju. He's going to differentiate some lineups for us. At the same time, too, though, with Juju not producing this year, I know that people are going to look at this and say, I don't want to play Juju Smith-Schuster. He hasn't been great this year. True, he hasn't been, But there have been a ton of injuries to the Patriots receiving core. And last week, Juju played over 80% of the snaps. He was on the field constantly for the Patriots, nearly ran 70 routes on the game that they played last week. So there's a lot of opportunity for Juju. And he's very cheap. And he's not crazy popular either. So I like getting to Juju to save some salary in lineups. Will I ultimately end up with 85% of them? No, I'm not going to. By the time that we have some more projections updates on Sunday morning, some other players get ruled out and some other value opens up, it'll come down. But still, he's a very serviceable, cheap option, one that I think makes sense to be overweight to the field too. On the high end, we've got Cooper Kupp, my favorite pay-up wide receiver on the slate. He's also my top projected lineup with Matthew Stafford, Christian Kirk, Michael Pittman, Chris Godwin, A.J. Brown. This rounds out the other players that I'm getting exposure to here. Michael Wilson listed as questionable, so we're going to need confirmation whether he's in or whether he's out. And then Demario Douglas. If you are looking to play a Patriots cheap wide receiver who isn't Juju, Demario Douglas, he's a little bit more expensive, but still is projecting out decently for us, and I have him in 15% of lineups. But a lot of these other ones, Kupp, I'm getting to Stafford. Christian Kirk, I'm getting to Lawrence. Michael Pittman, I'm getting to Gardner Minshew. So you can see how a lot of these wide receivers do correlate with the quarterbacks that I'm playing. Now, finally, let's go ahead and look at the tight end exposures that I have, and another very tight group of players. Evan Ingram, Travis Kelce, Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, and then I don't even have 5% of another tight end on the slate because most of the tight ends suck this weekend. I don't even want to force in any other tight ends beyond this. So I'm just going to play mostly these core four group of guys, and then if I have a lineup or two with Tyler Higbee in a Stafford lineup or a Cade Otton in a Baker Mayfield lineup, that's cool, but I don't really want to deviate too much from the core guys at tight end because it's a pretty weak slate for tight ends, and these four guys do project pretty well. So that is a roundup for everything we're looking at on DraftKings. If you guys like the content, like, follow, and subscribe. And if you want to sign up for Simso, which has really helped me make a bunch of money in both NBA and NFL this year, sign up using that link below. Use the promo code SIMS. You're going to get 50% off when you sign up for the first time. And it's also a deal where if you guys have already taken advantage of the Millie promo that we ran last week, we weren't expecting to be doing two deals back to back, but just to make sure everybody's taken care of. Don't worry. If you sign up with the Millie promo, you're going to get emailed a coupon for the Sims promo. So you could re-up your membership when your current one expires and get the 50% off. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Like, follow, and subscribe if you haven't already, and good luck in week 12.